Chapter 1. Third time is a charm, or 3 strikes and you're out. It was going to be a perfect day. In May 1984, I got married for the 3rd time. Like my first 2 husbands, Richard asked me to marry him soon after we met. I held back. When I was a young contract player at MGM, I met a handsome man who was the biggest recording star of the 1950s, Eddie Fisher. He was a success in records and also in the new medium of television with his program Coke Time with Eddie Fisher. When we got married, the press called us America's Sweethearts. Eddie was my first love and my first divorce. Eddie's best friend, movie producer Mike Todd, spent a lot of time with us while we were dating. Mike fell in love with Elizabeth Taylor. Eddie and I stood up for Mike and Elizabeth when they married. When Mike was killed in a horrible plane crash, I took care of their children while Eddie comforted Elizabeth. Then Eddie left our 2 small children, and me, for Elizabeth. You knew you'd be hearing about them in this story, didn't you? The scandal made headlines around the world. People still talk about it to this day. My second husband was a very wealthy businessman, Harry Carl. His family owned a chain of shoe stores worth millions of dollars. Harry was older than me, but he courted me until I said yes to his proposal. He gave my children and me stability and a family life that lasted for many years. I let him take care of all of our business while I took care of our home and his wardrobe. The trouble with Harry was that he loved gambling more than he loved me and our family. He squandered all of his money and then went through everything I had earned. When I found out, 13 years into our marriage, everything fell apart. When Richard proposed to me, it had been 26 years since Eddie Fisher left me for Elizabeth in 1958. That seemed like a lifetime ago. The nightmare of my second marriage had ended 10 years before, and after being a rich man's trophy wife, I vowed I'd never marry again. I'd worked to pay off millions of dollars of Harry's gambling debts, and I'd rebuilt my life. And at 52, I didn't want to spend the rest of my life alone, afraid of loving again. I'd known Richard less than a year, but marrying him felt right. We seemed to be kindred spirits. I was comfortable with him. We talked for hours and hours, yet it seemed like minutes. I was happy to be in love again. So, a few months after Richard proposed, I decided to take a chance and marry him. That being said, I was glad when Ruta Lee, my friend, gave me a copy of her prenuptial agreement to protect myself just in case. I've known Ruta since my early days at MGM. She'd played one of the 7 brides for 7 brothers in the musical of the same name. Leave it to my famous bride girlfriend to have a prenup handy, but then we do live in Hollywood. After all I'd been through, Ruta thought it would be wise for me to ensure that I wouldn't get hurt again. Richard read it for a few hours, then signed it, to prove that he loved me for myself, not my money. I was booked to perform on a cruise leaving from Miami for a week that May, so we decided to get married in Florida and spend our honeymoon at sea. This arrangement was good for me because I thrive on working. It was good for Richard because he enjoyed watching me work. I planned a small wedding with only my closest friends and family. My mother